want answers.
I want the truth.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Real Lies podcast. I am your host, Georgina Grace, and I have such a treat for you all. Today we have the incredible and beautiful Mel Craven. Mel is a ruling 22-4. And I just feel so privileged that a lot of the people that I get to interview, that I have interviewed so far, are either like ridiculously, significantly powerful energies or they're master numbers or combinations of both. And Mel is definitely no excuse. Is that the right word? Anyway, I'm going to go with it. No exception. That's the word. No exception. She's a ruling 22-4. And if you've heard me talk about the two energies before, you would then know that the two energies basically vibrate at a frequency of the highest kind of love. And these two energies, if you think about it, we haven't had two energies on this planet for a really long time. We have been under the 1000s for 1,000 years. And then before that, it was the 900s, the 800s, the 700s. So we haven't had two energy on this planet for a really, really long time. And Mel, part of her whole purpose for being on this planet with this ruling number in particular is to bring this frequency of love to as many places as she possibly can. And if you know Mel, you've met her, you've connected with her in some capacity whatsoever, you will know this to be so, so utterly true. Mel is not only bringing this high level frequency to this planet, but she is also someone that will do whatever it takes until the job is done. Someone who's incredibly grounded in her spirit, in her being, in her mission, in her purpose. And I'm just so overwhelmed with excitement, with love and gratitude for you being here today. Thank you so much for being here.
Aw, you said such beautiful things about me. My cheeks are like stuck, you know, when you smile too much for photos. They're like stuck.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you. I'm so excited to be on your podcast because it's just blew me away when I listened to that first episode. Your honesty, your vulnerability, your power to change the world and spread your truth. So thank you for being you and thank you for having me.
Oh, the love.
The love.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, I wanted to get you on the show, on the podcast, because I really, as I said before we started here today, tonight, it is nighttime. It is 7:10
It is,
right
yeah.
now. But it's all right. Because your frequency, I just wanted to get you, I want people to be aware of you and your frequency. I know you already have a pretty big network within everything that you do already, but I just think it needs to get even bigger and bigger. More people need to know about you and your mission, because you are everything that you do, Mel, is, I mean, it's so exactly your ruling number, but everything that you do, it is all for the benefit of people. And I met you through how did I actually even get connected to you? I don't even
Through your doula.
Nat. Oh,
Yes.
yes, absolutely. And so, you made such a difference to us. So, and okay, I'm getting lost for words here because I'm ahead of myself and I don't even know where to start or begin or anything. So Would you like to share a little bit about you and your journey before I go nuts?
Okay, don't go nuts yet. Okay.
Thank you.
So my story, where to begin? Well, let's just say I think I just like zapped down to this earth with a massive mission. And my earliest memories are like being like I grew up on a Aboriginal mission. My parents were missionaries. And so, yes, we were part of the last group of Christian missionaries that would receive the stolen generation, which they're now known, like the children that were removed from their Aboriginal Indigenous grandparents and family and brought to be raised by Western parents. So you can imagine growing up in that, and my father was also a minister of religion. So I grew up just questioning everything like, why? Why are we doing this? And like, why is this seems like, why are we saying this is the only way to reach, spiritual awakening, like through this avenue of this specific religion? And I would just refuse to walk to the front of the church, when they always give the call, who's going to give their life to God.
Yeah.
And I would be the only one, little me, maybe the age of 5 to 7, just sitting there going, but no, I don't think I need to. But it was interesting because it wasn't anti-love or anti-God. It was just anti that small religion, which was a lovely religion. So it wasn't like, it was just a mainstream Churches of Christ. Yeah, so that's my earliest memory of being really strongly different. And I then became to see myself as a black sheep of the family. Although that didn't stop me going to Bible college. I got a theology degree. I then went on to Melbourne College of Divinity and studied a Bachelor of Arts, majoring in philosophy and sociology of religion. So I was really just like searching. I'd go to all these different churches and yeah. Wow. And then I went on to be a social worker. And for a while I thought I was going to be a chaplain in the prison. Yeah. So it's the same sort of energy of wanting to bring love and support to people, but it's just evolved in different ways. And I think like when I met you, it had evolved to being a doula and working with women and families outside of the system, which is another story during the whole pandemic. Yeah. I mean, where shall I go? There's a few tangents.
Oh my gosh, I'm so ready for the tangent. My brain is like, I did not know this about you. I didn't know that you grew up.
This is real lies with real eyes. Well, something like that.
Yes, yeah. The beauty about the name is you can almost say it anyway and it sounds right every time.
That's right. But you'll realise some new things about me, which will hopefully be interesting.
It's already been interesting. So I love that so much. So you grew up, I mean, I'm looking at your birthday because you just gave me your birthday and I'm like, like, of course, because your energy is not that of a follower. So, yes.
No.
Yeah. You also have the 7 energy in there as well. And the 7s, I like to call them the authority questioners.
That explains a lot. I was questioning everyone, my dad, the church, God, and the government.
Yeah. And I don't think that has ever stopped, has it?
No, it just goes on.
It just goes on and on. Yeah, wow, that's so amazing. And so did you ever land on anything, like any religion, or did you ever land on anything for you? Or was it?
Well, in the beginning, I thought I would be like, interdenominational. So I was still sitting in the Christian framework. And then I studied other religions and I moved to the Middle East. and I was surrounded by the beautiful Islamic call to prayer every like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
And I just became so in love with that culture and that religion. And then I went and studied yoga in Thailand, and I became immersed in the Buddhist philosophy and the Eastern traditions, and I became so in love with that one. And then I thought, hang on, the central theme here is love. Like every religion, the central message is love. So that's my religion. So I landed on love.
Oh, oh my gosh. Of course. And it's
Yes,
absolutely true. It is
it
everything that
is.
you are, your whole.
And yeah, that was my catchphrase, like, love your body, because I worked a lot with somatic therapies and yoga. Love yourself, love your soul. And that was like my little motto for a while: love your body, love yourself, love your soul. And then love everyone else. So every religion has that same teaching. It really does. All the other things just all lead to love.
And
And
I
that
think, mm,
agape love, not the romantic love, the
oh,
real
like,
passion, compassion, caring sense of, I could be you, you could be me, we're all in it together type love.
the most pure version of unconditional,
Mm,
infinite love that
yeah,
exists.
yeah, that we all strive for.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that, you know, you as a little tacker, you started out at that place of everything is love. And then you
Yes.
had to do your human, you know, intellectual research and like discovery and experience things.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you landed right back in the same place of,
Yeah, I did. After quite a few tantrums, I was not perfect, far from it. But
mm,
when you're really a little serious person and you question and think about everything, it can be a struggle because you're like, but I just don't fit in. Like, what's wrong with me? Why
yeah.
don't I just believe like everyone else does? Yeah, so
Mm,
lots of soul searching until I found a sense of peace and comfort
mm.
from where I was landing, where I landed. Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, how can you not have a sense of peace and comfort when the place you land is total, complete love and acceptance?
Yeah, it's not a bad place to land, really.
It's a really nice place to land.
Yeah, and it's
Oh,
always something I can come back to. So, even if I stray, and raising 3 boys, because I'm a mother of 3 teenage boys, I strayed quite a bit, especially with the first one, but I've always come back to it, and that is my central, like, goal of parenting is that my children feel loved, that they feel
mm,
accepted for who they are. If
mm.
they want to like be potato farmers, nothing wrong with that. Make coffee, do that. Like whatever they want to do, as long as it brings them peace and they feel loved and they
Oh,
love themselves. Yeah. Mm.
so much. Oh,
Yeah. It takes away all the stress. It's actually an easier way to live,
mm.
really.
You know, I've been as as you do, like, but like, oh, see, I'm lost for words, Mel. I'm lost for words.
You're never
Um,
lost for words. They'll come.
thank you. Um, I've been doing a lot of work on healing myself. I mean, I've been doing this for a really long time,
Mm,
but recently I have it's like I've gotten to the bottom of the barrel of the that I can perceive at the moment. That's what it feels like. And it's like there are these
yeah.
deep, dark, dirty weeds, and I've just been pulling them out.
Hmm.
One thing that I've learned recently about myself is that I've become a master at intellectualizing things and bringing intelligence to it and making logical
Mm.
sense of things, become a master at that. But that's actually a defense mechanism, of course, because
Yeah.
what that is avoiding is actually sinking down into my heart space
Mm.
and feeling what is there to be felt. And I was doing some journaling the other day. Um, one thing that came through because at the top of the page, I put, what does my heart say? How like
Yes.
straight to the point I have to make it.
Mm,
And you know, what's crazy is that the first thing that came out was in love, there is no fear.
mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that was, I know, like, yes, that's very logical, but this was the first time for me that I really experienced and I felt like, oh my goodness, like when it's love, there is literally no worrying about anything. There is no freak out, there's no concern, there's no rush, there's no hurry, there's no urgency for anything other than love. And
Yes.
like it was so profound. And there I was sitting at the cafe with
Mm.
my little chai latte and busy cafe, and I'm sitting there like having this huge moment, looking around and
Yes.
seeing love in everybody.
Oh,
Oh,
beautiful.
so I love that you shared that because I
Mm.
mean it just brought that up for me. So yeah, really, really
That's
beautiful.
that is exactly it.
Mm.
Like you can either live in love or in fear, and they're like polar opposites.
Yeah, and you can't be
Yeah.
in one. You can't be in both.
No.
You're
No.
either in one or the other. There's no,
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you step into fear, it's about constricting. And as soon as you step into love, it's expansion.
oh
And so
my
it just
gosh.
feels so different, right? And how can you connect and heal when you're constricted?
Yes.
So hard.
It's
Yeah.
so hard. And oh my
Mm.
gosh, I can't help but think about giving birth when you share about
Oh,
because
true. Yes,
it's
that's a
so
great example. We should
it's
talk about that a little bit.
yes, we should talk about that. Oh my gosh. I was wondering how long it would take us to to get to that. Not long at all. But yeah, so yeah, birth. Oh my gosh. And it's like I relate it to um oxytocin and cortisol. Like you can't produce
Hmm.
both at the same time, can you?
Don't think so.
Well, you
Well, it
might be
would.
able to, but not the levels that you need to actually give birth.
No, no. And as soon as like the theory is like oxytocin in your body reduces cortisol. So I don't see how they'd both squirt out at the same time.
Yeah, that doesn't
Maybe
make
they
sense.
do. Maybe they do. But yeah, definitely the more oxytocin, the less cortisol. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's
Mm.
oxytocin is the love hormone, isn't it? I mean, it's so
Mm.
much more than just the
Mm.
love hormone. It's oh my gosh.
It's a
Oh,
connector hormone. It's connection.
yes.
Mm.
Yeah. So, okay, so birth, childbirth. You are like the queen of childbirth.
I don't know about that.
But oh my gosh,
But
you
yeah, I do love it. Mm.
you do. I have learnt how to give closing of the bones ceremonies from you. And I just have to say, I supported a mum. She actually had a VBAC,
Mm-hmm.
vaginal birth after cesarean. And it was the most
Beautiful.
extraordinary thing that she like, of
Mm.
course, her biggest accomplishment. Her first birth was quite, traumatic for many reasons.
Yeah.
Um, but she had this feedback, and I was her postpartum doula. And so every week I was going to her, or a couple of times a week, I was going to her house and I'd just spend the day with her, I'd cook for her,
Mm.
clean, look after her toddler with, my son would be there too. And then I would give her a ceremony, a closing ceremony.
Mm.
And after the first closing, she shared with me that she had a cesarean the first time, so she has this scar, and around the scar has been numb for the 2 years that she's had this scar, been completely numb, couldn't feel anything.
Mm.
After the first closing, she had feeling back around this.
Wow. Yes, that is incredible. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense though. Yeah, when you know what the closing's about. But wow.
Yes. Yes.
Ah.
Can you make it make sense?
Oh gosh, I knew you'd ask that. Well, like for those of you who don't know, like closing of the bones, that particular name is from my teacher, Sophie Messenger, who learned that from a midwife, Ecuadorian or Guatemalan, but like South American tradition. But many, many cultures have this tradition where they wrap and use cloth to massage in beautiful rhythmic movements and abdominal massage to help bring the woman's body back, but not just physically, like you do kind of smooth the bladder and uterus back into place and gather up the hips and draw the abdominals together. But it's also this energetic, beautiful ritual. And that's why I was saying it makes sense, because you do all these lovely, those little squiggly movements, gathering up all the energy that the mother has perhaps lost when she's felt broken and open. And part of her may have been desensitized due to emotion as well as physical aspects. So, but it's more about the energy, I think, and just the gift of giving that woman the space to be back in her body, to become whole again, to heal what she needs to heal, to be nurtured, to be mothered. Yeah. It's such a beautiful ceremony. I love it.
It really is such a beautiful ceremony, and it's so to feel held and cocooned like that when you're a new mum there's nothing, you can't describe that experience, and it should be so commonplace. It should just be,
Oh, it's what's missing.
yeah.
Like, I never had that. I learned all these things after I birthed my third child. Yeah, and it explained a lot. Like, I had postnatal depression. I remember wanting to open a car door and just jump out. I remember being in a mother baby unit with a matron sitting on my bed with her hand on my chest saying, "Do not get up and feed your baby. Let him cry," So the trauma you feel as a new mum. We're missing our grandmothers and aunts and all that love and nurturing. It's so medicalized in the West. We're just left as shells, broken shells a lot of the time after we
It's really
birth.
true. It's really, really true. And it's such a shame because it was never meant to be that way.
No, never. But we are helping bring it back little by little, sending out those ripples, letting people know what is the better way to be received after birth, the better way to be cared for. Yes. So this postpartum doula is such a beautiful role. Like, I actually teach a course for Blossom and Berry in the UK, which is called 40 Days of Love. So I help train up postpartum doulas to do exactly what you're talking about. And it is one of my favorite courses to teach.
It's so, so beautiful that you do that because and I really hope that your courses are booked out every time, because the more people that know about this, like, we don't.
The more women that receive it,
The more women
change
that
the world.
Yes, exactly. And then, like, we don't need baby clothes. Get us the closing of the bones.
Yes, that's a good line. I should put that in the course. No baby clothes. You need a closing. It doesn't. You said it better.
Good thing this is recording.
That's so true. Like, you really just need a box. You don't even need a fancy cot. You just need somewhere safe to put the baby when they're not on you, and then you need to be surrounded by people to love on you. You don't need all these. Did you know what I saw the other day? A strap-on clapping hand. Actually, they were using the flapping fish to tap a baby to sleep. Like you can tie it on the baby. So it still has a sensation of being nurtured, but it's just a cold fish, like a mechanical one.
That
How
sounds
sad is
horrible.
that? How
That's
sad.
that's really sad.
Oh,
Do
yeah,
you
don't
think,
buy our fish, buy our clothing.
yes, buy a clothing. That can be a line. We don't want
Yeah.
fish.
No flappy fish tied to my baby.
Oh,
Yeah, I
sweet.
know people get desperate. That this is part of it. There's so much expectation put on new mothers. They're trying to hold down full-time jobs. I went back to work at 6 weeks. I was expressing milk in police stations. I was a child protection officer. I was removing other people's babies. While my little one was like staying in family daycare. At one point, I had to wear like a pager because I also worked in intensive care as a social worker. So I would be up there with people that are dying, and my pager would go off, and I'd have to rush down and breastfeed my little one in the creche. Imagine all the stress hormones going through my body.
Oh my God.
This is not normal. No wonder I got postnatal depression. I mean, that's just crazy, right? But this is
Yeah.
the level of expectation, the financial burden, you know, you have to go back to work. Not everyone can
Go back.
choose not to.
Yeah, totally. And
Mm.
that we're in such an urgent and rushed society.
Yeah. So you do reach out for flapping fish because you're so desperate for sleep, you
Mm,
know? Yeah, I can
oh my
understand it.
gosh. I have to ask you what it was
Mm.
like working working in protective services and taking people's babies away. How was that, Mel?
Horrible. Not my favorite job. Um, there were cases where there was protection needed, but there has to be a better system. Logging out, rocking out with police in the middle of the night is just so horrendous, and then fronting up at court the next day, and children sometimes being removed and put with strangers because there's no safe family member. I mean, it's getting a bit better now, so this was a few years ago, but it's not a lot better.
Mm,
It was heartbreaking, it
mm,
was really, really hard.
mm.
Just sometimes we'd be this is a horrible thing. I remember one case where we were waiting for the woman to give birth before we took her baby. She was deemed to be a high risk pregnancy. Often these cases are very complex, and like the mother might be living in a situation with someone that's already physically attacking her, and so it's being deemed unsafe for a baby to come out into this world. But imagine having child protective workers waiting for you to give birth.
That's horrible. That's
Yeah,
horrible.
there has to be a better way.
There
There's
has to be a better
just,
way.
yeah, yeah. It's really, really heartbreaking. And that was, yeah, I mean, I take my hat off to the people that I worked with. We would be on call all night. It was the after hours team,
Mm.
responding to these desperate calls, and then just going out in the middle of the night and doing what we could to support these families. And often we would take the mother and the child somewhere safe. It was very rare that you would separate them. But yeah, just awful. Yeah.
So you mainly, like that woman that you like waiting for her to give birth, you weren't taking the baby away, or you were taking the baby away, or you were taking both away.
I think I handed it over, so I don't know. But the case I remember it was we were waiting for her to give birth, and if she wasn't going to leave her partner with the baby, we would take the baby, that type of scenario.
Oh, so it was the partner
Yeah.
that was the violent one.
Yes, it's often the partner. I went to another case where the partner had kicked the pram off the veranda with the baby in it. So, the mother had been beaten and the baby had flown through the air in the pram off the veranda. So these are the type of really serious cases where we would turn up with the police and say, you can't stay there, it's just not safe. Like the baby could die, you could
Yeah,
die. Yeah.
yeah.
The
So
level of violence is horrendous in
far out.
some cases.
And like, was the mother usually the one calling the police, or was it someone?
Not always, because they're too scared. You
Yeah, that's
know,
what I would think.
I've unfortunately been involved in cases where the mother has attempted to leave and the father has come and shot her dead through the window while she was packing her things. You know, that's it's not always safe to ring up. You can't
Mm.
blame people for, like, it's not always easy to leave.
Mm.
They are feeling really, really scared and threatened, and that it's safer to stay.
Mm.
And when you're in that environment where you're made to doubt everything about yourself,
Yeah, it's
there's
impossible.
no confidence.
It's
Yeah.
so hard. I mean,
Mm.
took me however long it took me to speak out about my abuse, and that was after my dad had died, So
Yes.
women that are living that reality every day and to have a baby in the mix. Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I can't
But if
even.
anyone is, just know that there are people there to help.
Mm,
Yeah. And they will do all they can to keep you together these days. With your baby. And there are like amazing angels out there that run
mm,
shelters and
mm.
support services. And yeah, it's finding the courage. You have amazing courage, because I listened to your story and I did not know that about you. And I was just like,
Mm.
wow,
Thank
incredible. It explains your fire and passion.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for saying
So,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask questions about that because it's the Realize podcast, and I think it's really important to hear these tough
Yeah.
realities because this is kind of what's going on. And these are the areas that we need to bring love to.
So much
So
love. And
much.
some of those workers are so full of love, so caring
Yeah, they
in the
would go into
midst of
that
it.
with the best intentions. I have
Always.
I have
Mm.
heard some pretty like not nice things about protective services and kind of more about who runs them and
Oh, look, the system is not, I would never say it's the best system. And in a lot of ways, it is broken. And
mm,
I left. Do you want to know how I left? This might explain how it did not fit with me.
yes.
I developed paranoia and I cleared out my desk in on a after hours and never went back. That's how stressed I got. And then I had to have phone calls with the union to try and help me sort it out. So that was when I was working in a regional area during the day. Um,
Wow.
but just the amount of stress, the caseloads are too high.
Mm,
The often the workers are young, they don't have a lot of experience. It is hard, and the system is not great. Yeah, not
yeah.
great at all. Very, very
Yeah.
stressful. And
Very
that flows down. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Can imagine. Was there ever time, did you ever like get a say over what happened with like the cat, like, your, anyway.
Yeah, yeah, we did do our assessments,
Yeah.
and advocated for the best interests of the child and the family.
Yeah.
But often the decisions were made above us, even after we'd made our recommendations. Yeah.
Mm,
Mm.
that would have gotten tough if you made a recommendation and then what came down was not
Yeah.
in alignment with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was it's probably why I developed paranoia. Yeah, I was just really, really stressed. So stressed. Mm.
Wow. Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's wild.
Mm.
But it also is a kind of testament to your strength of spirit to go to the deepest and the darkest places and that shining light of love, bringing
Mm.
that through. But far out, I definitely don't think you need to do it at the total sacrifice of your whole sanity.
No.
I
No.
think there's a better
Yeah.
way to do that.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah. No, I learned a lot and it was part of my soul's journey, but I would never go back to working there.
no,
No.
no, no,
Sending love to everyone that is and everyone that needs a service, but yeah, not for me.
no.
Yeah, very challenging.
Very, very, very challenging.
Yes.
But your love of childbirth never wavered. And did your love of being around childbirth, learning about mothers, did that come from your experiences or has it just always been there?
No, that's an interesting story. So I did not even know what a doula was until I used to live in this big house on a date farm in Al Ain in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. So I had this massive, massive room that I'd turned into a yoga studio. And people got to know that if you wanted to offer training, ask Mel, she's got a big room. So this amazing woman who runs Amani Birth in Saudi Arabia came and said, I'm training doulas. If you let me stay with you and do the training from your room, I'll train you up for free. And I was like, what's a doula? And
Wow.
this is when my son was 3, my last child. So I'd been through 3 births, not really being that, like I thought I was aware and pro natural birth, but I wasn't to the extent I then became.
Mm,
So, yeah, it wasn't until I went on that journey that everything I had felt was validated. That and also doing the baby massage course with Gail Berry in
mm,
Dubai, she also validated how I'd felt and what I knew in my heart and soul to be true
mm.
about how women were meant to birth and parent and be supported. So it was from that knowledge of me missing out, going, oh, I
Oh,
wish I'd had that, that I then wanted to provide that to others. And when you become a doula, it's a healing of your own. Like you reflect on your own births, you
mhm,
do a lot of healing. Like I'd had what I thought were okay births. The first 2 were in like birthing centres in Melbourne, attached to a hospital. So we had
mm.
the double bed, we had the midwives,
Oh,
just
no.
me and my partner. They were both squatting just, by the bed. And the third one, I was like, I'm going to have a water birth. And
Mm.
I'd hired a private doula in the Middle East, and I had this big pool on the date farm. There was like wild deer outside. It was all going to be magical. And I got to 43 weeks, and the hind water broke and started trickling, and no contractions. And after 24 hours, my midwife and my partner, who's a paramedic, were like, I'm sorry, but we're taking you in. I was
Oh.
like, no, no. So, yeah, I went in. And of course, 43 weeks, there was nothing wrong. He didn't come out like a hairy, overcooked monkey. He was fine. He was perfect.
Mm.
Um, and I'm still annoyed to this day. I could have like stayed home, but anyway, I'm kind of getting closer to peace about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did you end up
and
in a cesarean?
no, no,
Oh,
no.
you did.
I didn't have a cesarean. I had to go into hospital, and they had never seen a woman on her hands and knees before, and I was on my hands and knees. They went to do a vaginal cervical check and they could not even find the way in. They're like, she's upside down. And I was like this Western woman who was a bit of a like crazy. I was roaring and squatting, and I did everything I could to push him out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
It
That is
was an induction. They did hook me up to,
all
the
the things.
oxytocin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. But that's incredible though, to still birth vaginally in a hospital and with being
Yeah.
induced.
Mm-hmm. It was full on, I have to say. Yes.
Oh, don't recommend that because far out
Mm,
the pain of the contractions from being induced is like I can't even explain it. I've not experienced it, but I don't, you know,
there's just no rest.
there's no
It's just
rest.
constant. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Is the contractions themselves what is painful, or is it that it's unnatural and that they are just hardcore coming in hot and there's
Yeah.
no natural
Both.
rest? Yeah.
Because normally, right, you have the contraction and the body's pain receptors signal more oxytocin, and it's a beautiful feedback loop.
Yeah.
But with the syntocin and the drip they connect up to you, there's no feedback. It's just overridden and bypassed. There's
Yeah.
no break. It's just constant contraction, contraction, contraction. It's exhausting, and you have no chance to get your natural endorphins and pain, your natural body's natural pain opiates flowing because
Yeah.
there is no feedback loop allowed to happen. So then you need to rely on the artificial painkillers. So
Yeah.
I was sucking on that Entonox and I tried the Penthrane, and I was like, all it did for me was make me feel like I was still in massive pain, but I couldn't ask for help, you know?
Because you're just a
Yeah,
bit like numb, like
yeah,
mentally
yeah. Like,
fuzzy.
hello, over there. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, so it was, I wouldn't recommend that. I
No.
know some people need to have it. I think there is a gentler way to do inductions these days, but that was, he's only 12. But yeah, that was pretty barbaric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. I mean, that is incredible, Mel. Like that is, if anything is a testament to your spirit and your strength, it is that because, I share whenever I have shared with people my birth story and how I birthed, people often react and say, "Oh, that was risky." How, all of this stuff. And I think it's the total opposite. The total opposite. If you like
Yeah.
giving birth in a hospital, that
Mm-hmm.
is risky, in my opinion.
Yes.
And um and to you're like now I don't know if this is statistically correct. I feel like it might be, but you
Mm.
birthing in a hospital, you're more likely to end up in a cesarean than birthing vaginally. What do you think about that? Would you say that's close to
Oh gosh. Yeah, like it's different in different countries and different
true?
places.
True, yeah.
But the cesarean rate is creeping up. It's meant to be something like 10% and it's closer to 40%, and some hospitals 70%. So
Yes.
it's that whole cascade of interventions that
Mm,
leads to more interventions. So,
mm.
I mean, I had I love your birth story. And I was just there the day before talking to you about it during that little course.
Yes.
And
Oh my
so
gosh.
that was not risky at all. You knew what to do if there was any complication and how to get help. You
Mm.
weren't there just blissfully ignorantly.
No.
You were well informed, and then you were so in touch with your body and
Mm.
your baby that it was so safe. Mm.
It was so, so, so safe. And oh
Mm.
my gosh, I love talking about my birth because it just brings me so much joy and I get transported back to that time, just such a
Mm.
sacred time. And one thing, a line that you said during that course, firstly, let's just address the course that I did because people are like, what is this course?
Yeah.
Um, it's called Childbirth Outside of the Hospital.
Yes.
And the course that I did was the first one that you ever ran. And I
Mm-hmm.
was about 39 weeks pregnant. I was ready to pop any day. And we were at the point where we had tried to find people to support us, to support the birth and be there, and they kind of fell through, but it was so perfect because we were meant to do it alone. And so Corey and I, my husband, we were going at it alone and planning to free birth. We didn't know that was a term back then, but we were just
Mm.
I was just kind of like, women have been doing this for thousands of years. There's a lot of humans on Earth that have come from a womb, you know? So I was just like, why can't I do this?
Mm.
And as soon as I made that kind of choice or just surrendered to that, I was like, there was no fear where I was. It was just like, I am woman.
Yeah, you owned
I was
it.
so like,
Mm.
everything's gonna be fine, man. This is what I was designed for. My husband, on the other hand, had a few concerns because,
Mm.
you know, when you birth in a hospital, you naturally give responsibility to the experts that are there, and the husband doesn't necessarily have a role. All of a sudden, we were no longer birthing in a hospital, but we were also no longer birthing with anybody else. So the
Yeah.
responsibility, he felt it immediately. He was
Mm.
like, oh, now I've got to step up to the plate. And we were like, really, he was never against us birthing this way. He was always like trusting of me and my body, and he had these concerns. And so
Mm.
I was like, well, let's address those concerns. And some of them were the what ifs. What if this happened? What if that happened? I wouldn't know what to do. And so we were kind of like, well, let's try and equip you with what to do. And then out of the blue, I don't know how, she's just very intuitive and tapped in, that woman, that beautiful Nat. And
Mm.
I hope she doesn't mind me saying her name.
Hi,
Um,
Nat. We love you.
she connected us, you and I, and your amazing husband, Russ, that you were just about to do this new course
Yes. Yeah.
that, uh, yeah, we did. And it was like 4 or 5 hours, I don't
Yeah, four
remember.
hours on Zoom. I was like moving the camera everywhere.
Yes,
We didn't
yes,
quite have the technology up to speed, but yeah, we had one couple there and then you two on Zoom. Yeah.
yes. And it was just, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm such an advocate now for people, like people's main concerns when it comes to childbirth is the what ifs. And
Yeah.
your course addressed every single what if that Corey and I had. And
Mm.
we knew after doing your course exactly what we needed to look for scenarios where, like, okay, yeah, now we need to call for help. This is not something
Yeah.
that we can handle at home on our
Mm.
own. But we also were equipped with exactly what we could handle at home. What were the risks? What were just the reality of all the different things that could possibly happen? It was
Mm.
so utterly empowering to have this information because, like, knowledge is power. And for me, I like to know and see. And you did demonstrations and, like showed us like, walked us through physically what happens naturally and then walked us through physically what is not so natural or what could
Mm. What
pose
could indicate
challenges.
things going
Yeah.
wrong? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so
Mm.
this course changed everything for us. And Ollie literally came the next day. Like I went
Talk
into
about
labor
timing.
the next day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always say that that course, like I was ready for him to come, but Corey he
Mm.
was had the concerns. And so once he was equipped with the knowledge, I feel like energetically he became ready. And then Ollie was
Yeah.
like, all right,
Yeah.
cool guys, here I
Green
am.
light. Go, go, go.
Yeah. And
Dad's
so
ready.
I just I
Mm.
wanted to share my perspective of what the course did for me, but I would also really love to hear like your version of why you created this thing. Like just yeah, because far out, everyone needs to do this. I'm such an advocate for this.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were our first couple.
Oh my gosh. 100%
Uh,
success rate. This course works. It'll make you go into labor
the
immediately.
next day.
The next day, I always see mothers and
Yeah.
women in groups online, and they're like, "How do I ways to get labor going?" I'm always commenting, "Do this course."
Yeah. Maybe I should market it that way. But yeah. Well, like my partner's a paramedic, and so I'm a doula and mental health social worker. So this is the first time we worked together. So, on a personal level, that was so empowering as
Mm.
a couple, because normally he'd, be in his ambulance and I'd be over here doing my love and light fairy dust social work.
Yeah.
Sorry, and he's more like logical, medical, rational, Mr. Emergency. And I was like, just, and bang the drum type thing. Anyway, so we came together and
Perfect
it worked
combination.
really, really well.
Mm.
Yeah. Because like doulas also have that, physiology, anatomy, birth training. It's not all love and light. So we found ourselves both out of work during the pandemic because we both chose not to be vaccinated. So we went from, full-time paramedic, full-time well, I was part-time mental health social worker, part-time yoga teacher, and suddenly we could not work because of
Mm.
our choices in
Mm.
Tasmania. And then we lost our house because we could no longer afford to pay rent.
Oh my gosh.
So I think just when we taught the course, it wasn't that bad yet, but it did end up being that bad. So we were like, how are we going to make money? That was really like the impetus.
Mm.
And then I was like, well, what are our skills? And then we realized that there was a whole group of people locked out of the system
Yeah.
that were not able to access medical checkups, antenatal, prenatal care, did
Mm.
not want to birth by themselves or have to wear a mask and be alone.
Mm.
And I had some clients that would be made to stand outside the clinic in the sun, not even offered a chair, third trimester, pregnant, weren't even allowed in the surgery because they weren't vaccinated.
Oh my God.
So it became like a real passion that, wow, we have these skills. There's people that need them. There's
Mm.
people that are birthing at home through not choice, but necessity.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's help them.
Mm. Mm.
And also, there were people, that just lived far away. So even if they could access the services, even if they were complying with all the health and safety regulations and vaccinations, they just were isolated during the pandemic, didn't have supports around them and may not make it to the hospital in time. So there were lots of different reasons for people doing the course, but our impetus was definitely related to our predicament of
Yeah.
being out of work. Yeah, and having 3 teenage boys to feed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, there's been as horrible as that whole thing has been on everybody. There's been a lot of miracles come out of it. I know I have
Oh, yeah.
absolutely connected to my soul tribe through,
Mm,
you know, finding other very like-minded people who are on the same page and doing similar things to you and I that are just
yeah.
that like wouldn't have happened without COVID, you know?
It wouldn't. No, it's been amazing, hasn't it?
It's been so
Just
amazing.
connecting to people that have similar values
Mm,
and people that are into creating new ways of operating and just the level of acceptance
yeah.
of everyone, no matter what choices they made. It's
Yeah.
really amazing. Yeah,
It,
I love it. It's
it's
definitely changed the way, like it brought me and my husband together to run a course together,
yeah.
you know? And this weekend or next weekend, I'm going to learn the raindrop technique and he's going to be my partner. Like, when does that happen? That he lets me drop oil down his back. Oh, I guess he is a man. I guess. But you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like he's coming to do more energetic healing work.
Yes.
Um, and I think it's just opened all of that up this whole last few years.
I'm
Yeah.
so, so, so grateful that you both made the choice to not be vaccinated. You both then lost your jobs. You both then had to create this course out of necessity, because you have mouths to feed. But this is I think this is something that could and should go so, so viral because it really puts the power in the couple's hands. And things things are not as scary as what the system makes you think they are.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that I got from doing the course was just like so much of this is manageable by like I could manage this at home if this
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Corey was ready with the baby CPR. He was like, I know exactly what to do. I know how to do it. Like, if we needed that, he would have whipped that out. We got to learning that. Oh, when I
Yeah.
heard the crazy bang,
Your water exploding.
yes, my brains. For a second, I was like,
Mm.
whoa, is there a bomb going off? But then I
Mm.
realized that, oh yeah, that's my waters going off. I knew instinctively straight away to check for color, check for smell, like
Yeah. Yeah.
just knowing to do these things was so, so, so
Mm.
empowering and how good it felt when I don't see any color and I don't smell any
Mm.
smell,
Mhm.
and knowing that he's coming now, just so yeah, this course, I just want it to go absolutely viral. I want everybody to do it. And
Mm.
even if you're planning to birth in a hospital, it doesn't matter. I think this information is still vital for you to know and to learn and to understand for yourself because and just, yeah, like it's just so, so, so powerful, this information. And
It is, yeah.
yes,
Knowledge is power, right? And when you're in the hospital and all these decisions are being made around you, if you actually know why they're being made and you have some more understanding, you're going to feel a lot more empowered and not as confused. So, yeah, it doesn't matter where you're going to give birth, it's just knowledge, and knowledge is power.
it really,
Yeah.
really, really is.
Mm,
I just,
mm.
yeah, I love so much that you both came together. I didn't know that this was the first time that you had come together to do a course because the way that you were with each other, you're so fluid and so just like balance each other out. It just, so incredible.
Yeah, it was just very natural. I guess we have been married 30 years, so we know each other pretty well. Mm.
That's a long time.
Mm. I
That is
know,
a
I'm getting old. We were childhood sweethearts. That's another story.
oh, Mel. You have
Wow. Well, we met when I was an exchange student. So
because he's
I
South
went on
African, isn't he?
exchange to, yeah, Zimbabwean. So I
Oh,
went on
wow.
exchange to Zimbabwe and he was my host brother-in-law, kind of.
That's very true to your Tasmanian.
Oh, Georgina.
Sorry, I
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
couldn't help.
Okay, so getting back to the exchange.
Yes,
So
please. Let's move
I
on.
I was put in a house with a family whose daughter was married to his brother, and he turned up to visit me on a motorbike with a python, a snake down his top, and that's how we met. He was like, "Hey, here's my snake."
Oh.
Her name's, I won't say the name, but yeah, it was the name of his girlfriend at the time. So yeah, yeah, I told you it was a weird story. Anyway, and then we went fishing on the banks of the Zambezi, and love blossomed while the crocodiles were in the river. And we were inseparable after that. And then he saved up all his money and came to Australia with just £50 and a backpack.
Wow.
Yeah. And we got married when I was 20 and he was 21.
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, nothing like love blossoming when you're sitting in front of your potential death.
That's right. Yeah, it was
Oh my,
pretty far out. Africa's pretty full on when you camp there. Like there's people with weapons making sure the crocodiles don't come, and you have to look out for snakes and
I think Australia's
rhinos.
bad. Rhinos. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, rhinos come and stomp out the campfire. So you have to like have a fire to scare away the leopards, but make sure the rhinos don't come and stomp it out.
This sounds like we're making it up. This is
No, it's true. This is
yeah.
real life.
That's wild.
Camping in Zimbabwe. Yeah.
Watch out for the rhinos.
Yeah. Bad tempered rhinos. They don't like fire. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
But anyway, yeah, so that's our love story.
That's
And then it blossomed into us doing this childbirth outside the hospital setting course together. And you giving birth the next day. So that's just like, who would have known we would be doing that when we first met on the banks of the Zambezi?
I am so glad that you met and he showed you his snake.
Pet python.
It's not what you expect when someone says, "Hey, let me show you my
I
snake,"
know.
and
I
they
do
actually
like,
show you a snake.
yeah, down his leather jacket.
Wow. Way too
Yeah.
cool. Way too cool. Oh, Mel, it's been such a joy having you on the show. I
Mm,
could really talk to you for a long time
we
because
could. Yeah.
you have a lot of stories. Incredible stories from all around the world that would be really
Mm,
fascinating to listen to. But we won't listen to them all tonight because that's
no.
you need to eat.
Yeah.
I would love to give you an opportunity just to, if there, is there anything that you would like to say, any message you would like to leave for people, anyone who is maybe they're preparing to give birth or they know someone to give birth? Is there anything that you would like to say to them as a passing, as a leaving message?
Mm. Oh, look, what comes to mind is the kind of motto of Blossom and Berry, and that's love creates love.
Mm,
So go into your preparation for birth, loving yourself, focusing on what you need so that you feel loved and nurtured, and then you can focus all of your love on birthing that baby. So that can be different for everyone. So whatever makes you feel loved, safe, happy, secure, whatever flavor that is for you, and then focus on the postpartum, really, really focus on carrying that through. Because so
mm,
many people just focus on the birth.
mm,
But the postpartum, those 40 days,
mm,
especially those first 40 days, you want to be loved up,
mm.
like on overtime, like as much as you can get. And you're not being selfish. It's like what we are meant to do. We are meant to be surrounded by a tribe. We're not meant to do it alone. Yeah. So,
So amazing. And I'm
mm,
reminded of a something you said during the course that you taught me was having birth, no, giving birth should feel as intimate as it felt when you created the baby in the first place.
yes,
I
yes.
love that.
Yes, exactly. So think sexy mood, intimate mood.
Yeah, like
You
you're
wouldn't
about to
want to do it with bright lights and strangers.
exactly, exactly. But if
Yeah.
you have
Mm.
to, then lean on what you said about what you need to feel loved and nurtured.
Yes, you can still create that little, like I did in the middle of an induction, in the middle of, felt like was a circus act. I had my little circle of doula and partner around me, surrounding me in love and light. And that was all I needed to keep
Mm,
going. And that connection, that connection with the divine.
because we
Mm-hmm.
open a portal when we give birth, don't we?
Oh, totally.
So, so good. Thank you so
Mm.
much for being here, Mel. Please share with everybody where they can find you, what current offerings you are offering people, and just anything that will get people to go to you.
Okay, well, it's easy because it's just my name, melcraven.com. I have a website, and there you can look at all my offerings to do with the birth courses. You can also look at I've got like some yoga courses and mindfulness courses, and you can access the childbirth outside the hospital setting there as well. So just go to melcraven.com. Yeah.
Awesome. And you're also on social media?
Yes, Mel Craven Yoga, one word, on Instagram and Facebook. And
Oh,
I just like to share messages of hope and inspiration and encouragement. So come and find me.
yeah.
Yeah. And if
So
you're in
amazing.
Tassie, come and see me in person. I'd love to see
Yes,
you.
yes, yes, yes. We will put all the links to everything in the show notes. That's a thing.
So
Podcasters
fancy, very
say, yeah,
fancy.
very fancy. All of your information will be in the show notes, Mel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to press stop record, but you don't have to leave straight away.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.